Okay, so I always try to come up with something different each time I speak at a venue, and I had a crazy last couple of days. So when I can't come up with something, I'll go out early in the morning and shoot like 9 holes of miniature golf. So there I was on the 18th hole, and I looked to my caddy, and he looked at me, "You only have a putter, what are you thinking?" And as I was standing there ready to make this putt into a windmill with a log floating back and forth, I thought, they're making a simple game so much more difficult than it was. And then I looked down and I saw a penny on the ground. And when I saw that penny on the ground, I knew what I wanted to open with. My father, this is why I got into special ed. My father was an inclusive man. Everybody was welcome at our house. Everybody was the same. And one day when I was about probably 12 years old, I was in my English class with Mr. Bennett. And Mr. Bennett was from the South, and he wore a perfect suit, bow tie. He dotted every I, crossed every T. He was so proper with everything that he did. And I'm kind of a wise ass as it is. And you have to understand, people in Jersey, we tend to butcher the English language. And they had, like 6th grade, I think it was, so they had 6-1, which was the really smart kids, and then 6-12, which was the special classes. I was probably around like 6-7, somewhere in there. And I was always a protector of kids with special needs. It's just, it came from my dad. So there was this one kid, Tommy, in the class, and he never spoke much. Now that I know autism, he was definitely on the spectrum. He was just really, really, really quiet and never raised his hand the whole time that I remember that year. And finally, he raised his hand. I'm going, oh, this is so cool. He's going to speak. And he said, Mr. Bennett, can I ask you a question? And Mr. Bennett said, no, you can't ask me a question. You can ask me a question. And I thought, that's really, really mean. You know, here's this kid that finally was going to say something and getting bumped. And he just kind of, and I really got upset. And I said, hey, Mr. Bennett, can I ask you a question? Why are you such a jackass? I said, this kid, he's trying to learn something, and I understand, but you can't just cut him down like that. It's terrible. And we got back and forth, and he finally said to me, he said, Mr. Travolta, you better stop this banter. I'm going to make you look like a penny waiting for change. And I said, a penny waiting for change, that's stupid. And he went like, he called me stupid. So I got in trouble for this, and I went to my dad. And he said, I'm not happy with what you did, the way you did it. And I said, but Dad, he called me stupid, a penny waiting for change. And he goes, no, I understand you stood up for this kid. He said, but let me tell you something about a penny. A penny has value and a purpose. You have value and a purpose. And everybody that you meet along the way is going to have value and purpose. Some people, they don't know what their value is. They don't know what their purpose is, and they're going to need help. He goes, and someday you're going to do that kind of stuff. I just know it. I feel it. And then he said, now get out of here before I make you look like a penny waiting for change. Don't make me ask you again, he said, but But from that day, it was, I had this soft spot, and I promised my dad I would go to college, and I did. I hated school. The last thing I wanted to be was a teacher, but I was a teacher. But the way I taught was very similar to my life. I was in a show business family. My mom taught drama, so we were in it and around it. You had to perform for dinner at our house. So we were always there, and I went to school, and all the openings were in special ed. I didn't want to become a teacher. There were openings. And then all of a sudden, I'm there the first day of school, and I have 15 juvenile delinquents on 15 different levels. I'm teaching at an orphanage, and I'm thinking, what am I doing here? So I came up with this, and it's funny because today, if you look on Broadway, Hamilton, and the way Hamilton, the meter to it, it's educational. You go to Hamilton, you learn history. Well, that's the way I used to teach. I loved it. I would perform the lesson plan. I would teach math through racetrack odds. I'd go and record a whole 12 races with first, second, and place, and I taught fractions that way, and I would pay them off in candy. The nun came in one day, and I'm doing a whole race card and doing the races, and they win. I made sure everybody won, and I would pay them off in candy. It was outside the box, but I was going broke. I mean, I was like putting all my money back in, and the kids were beating me at the racetrack. It was terrible. No, but I put everything I had into it, and it wasn't the right time for me at that time. And I loved doing it, but I knew I would get back to it someday. So I did, how many special ed teachers do we have here? Okay. Thank you for your service. That's, you guys are the best. So, yes. So when you leave the difficult field of special ed, it's now easy for me, but back then it was very difficult. You wanted to go into something easier. So I became a professional singer. Had a little success, had a couple of charted records, 3 albums, and the aha moment for me in filmmaking was my first film. I was the star of the film. I had a little success from the music, and I was offered a starring role in this movie called Sunnyside. This is a gang film, terrible film. But at that time, you had a theatrical release, the whole 9 yards. But when I came on the set and saw this group of 55, 60 people all working together for a common goal, and I was like, oh, I want to know what everybody does. Luckily, I was on the set every day because I was starring in it, but even days that I wasn't on the set, I would go back and just hang out. I wanted to know what the cameraman did. I wanted to know what the grip did, what the gaffer did, what transparent. I wanted to know what everybody did. And that's how I learned filmmaking, from the other side of the camera. I was already writing, so I had a kind of a leg in there. And that's when I got into production. I started producing films and directing films. And about probably 6 years into my directing career, I had this idea of a practical film workshop. I was getting kids out of USC, UCLA, top film schools that didn't know their way around the set. And I thought, well, if I could teach people the way that I learn, because usually you start as a PA and you go and get coffee for people, you run around, you don't really get to learn everything. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool when you start a movie, when you have your script, you break it down, you budget it, you schedule it, you hire the actors, you go through casting. Most PAs don't get to go through that. I thought, wouldn't that be cool if when I do my films, I use the film as a workshop and take these kids that they're not going to go to film school. You know, they want to get into it right away. Well, wouldn't it be cool to start a workshop like that? So I ran into this group that was doing a thing called the Entertainment Experience, and we were putting together a slate of family films. And that was my goal, was to, as a part of the family films, start this workshop. And this wasn't for special needs kids, it was for neurotypicals. So I opened this thing called the Entertainment Experience that teaches acting and camps and filmmaking. And this was in Woodland Hills, California. But I'm running my production company out of there. So, and again, it was for all neurotypical kids. But while I was developing and doing movies, we had this. So my daughter, Rachel, she said, Dad, I'm running a film festival. Would you help us? I said, sure, whatever you need. And I said, I can give you camps, I can give you some acting classes, you know, as prizes, and I'll get you some publicity. So in this little tiny newspaper called The Acorn, it's in Thousand Oaks, California. For those of you who don't know where Thousand Oaks is, it's very close to where the Kardashians are. That's my point of reference for every place in California. It's either 100 miles from Kardashians, 5 miles, 10 Kardashians. So I got them to write an article. And in the article, it mentioned that I was a former special ed teacher. So 2 parents with children with autism asked if they could have a meeting with me. And I said, sure, absolutely. They said, would you consider opening your classes, your filmmaking, and your camps to special needs kids? I said, absolutely. I said, if you get the kids, we have the teachers here, we can start a program, no problem. Then the other mother said, well, I have a son that wants to submit a film. Can he? And I said, well, if he's 16, he's in high school, absolutely. What's the film about? She said, it's about what it's like to be autistic from an autistic kid's point of view. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I would go see that. Send me the film. He said, well, he doesn't know how to make a film. I said, well, that's a problem. So I met with him, big kid, 6'5" with curly hair. He was only 15 years old. And he was sitting there, and he had something that he was playing with, and at the end of the thing, there was all sawdust on the ground. I don't know what it was. But when I asked him about what he wanted to do, he said, well, I really want to make this film so I could get gifts for kids for Christmas that don't have it. And I was like, oh, well, you sold me on that. And I said, you know, how do you envision doing this? Well, documentary style, you know, interviewing people and stuff like that. I said, all right. I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a cameraman, and I'm going to give you an editor, and I will mentor you in the making of this short film. And the title of the film was called Normal People Scare Me. And as it got closer and we were doing the interviews, I thought, wow, this is really coming out cool. You're getting these parents, and some of the parents were on the spectrum, getting their perspective of this. I said, this is kind of cool. So I called the Daily News, which is one of the biggest newspapers in Los Angeles, and they do a feature story about this. They got called, and this is 2004. They got calls from Italy, from Ireland, from India, all wanting to know about this kid who was making a film about what it's like to be autistic. They got such an overwhelming response that they did a follow-up. Then California Connected, which was a PBS station, did a documentary about us making the documentary. So it was like, wow, this is really, really cool. So the night of the festival, we were expecting 50 people, 500 people showed up. There was even a woman that flew all the way from Ireland to wanting to know about this kid. And he didn't win the film festival. He got a special achievement, but you would have thought that he won the Academy Award. He was so proud of himself, beaming to see, because he's sharing this with everybody. So it was a great night. ABC covered it. It was really, really cool. I started getting calls from all over the country. Hey, can you come to Oakland University? We just got a grant. We want you to teach us how to do this. I said, well, how much is the grant for? And she told me. And I said, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. I call her back. I said, why don't I come and do it, and I'll bring my crew. It'll be fun. And that was really the start of the big camps. We did Oakland University, and then we also did it in San Jose, California. Those were the first two. Then we started getting crazy. I mean, it was, we had camp, one year we did 8 camps. And we have, we did it for 9 weeks we were on the road. One, we were double up on camps, but it was really getting crazy. So I'm in a meeting with the regional center. You guys are all familiar with the regional center. And again, these are the camps. We haven't started Inclusion Films, the practical film workshop. So I'm in the meeting, and the head of the regional center at that time, in Lanterman, said, do you have anything for our folks that are getting out of high school and transitioning into college? And, you know, something that's work-oriented, because we really want to try to get jobs for people. So I was like, well, as a matter of fact, I do. And I pitched them the practical film workshop. Well, they went nuts over it. But the whole intent with the practical film workshop was that you needed to have a film, a feature film to do it. And I was really, really stuck on it, because I could have done it a couple of years earlier, but I really wanted to have that feature. But to have that feature, it was too crazy because there was too many moving parts. So after doing the camps, what I discovered was, well, wait a minute. Why don't we just develop scripts as a part of the program and make them the lesson plan? So we did a pilot program, and this was 2007, and it did so well, they said, let's go full tilt with this. And what we did was we created it, which was my original, it's even better than my original idea, because with the features, you already have the script here. Now the kids are involved with writing the scripts and doing all that. So, so that was a really big success. And we opened next in Bakersfield, which is the main program now. There was a documentary being done through the regional center about a group of people with developmental disabilities. They were going to own their own home for the first time and be financed, and the regional center became the bank and helped them out with everything and all the other things. And he said, I'd really like to make a documentary about it. And we didn't have a program in Bakersfield yet. And I said, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you, instead of paying me to do the documentary, let's do an 8-week workshop, and we'll make the documentary the lesson plan. And they can work on that and show them how to make films. So that's what we did, and that became a big success, and we opened up in Bakersfield, and we've been there since 2009. And from that, then we go to Livermore, California, then we come to Sacramento, California. We have some of our students over here that you're going to hear from in a little bit. And then we're in San Diego now and San Bernardino, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, so one day, this Lights, Camera, Independence, which I'm going to show you a little clip from, the big thing is finding work for our folks. It's breaking down those doors, and I've been breaking them down for a long, long time, and people are starting to recognize it. And one of the things that's been a catalyst was this Lights, Camera, Independence. So I'm going to show that clip, and then we'll talk about, you know, all that. So.
Good morning, Elliot.
I was in a meeting at the East Bay Regional Center, and my father expressed that my son needed to go and meet people that were like him, and people that had developmental disabilities like me, and she noted that the Joey Travolta film camp would be a really good idea. People said I wasn't able to make it. They said, oh no, Elliot, yeah, he never went to school. Why would he go to a film workshop?
Filmmaking is the ultimate collaboration. The process of making a film gives you what we call soft skills. When they're finished with the program, they're learning communication, they're learning to work as a team, and those can be applicable any place that you go to work.
Being able to explore and see what else can offer out there for me.
For as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to edit. That was the one thing that I wanted to do, and I always thought it would just be a hobby.
It became very interesting how I could not only try to work my way into my skills as a filmmaker, but also work on my social life.
Joey told me I have huge, huge, huge potential in you that you will do well in this business.
This summer, we're taking an intern from each one of the workshops and bringing them on the road with us to the film camps.
Okay, so here we go.
This is my first time ever being in an airport, so I'm expecting kind of a culture shock.
I've been to the airport many times in my life, ever since my trip to Seattle at age 2.
Quiet on the set. Welcome to Film Camp 2014.
Now I'm an intern. We'll see how this goes. I'm excited.
His life is completely changed in a way that you'd see in movies but think can't be real.
You have to let him fly. You can't predict what Kelly's going to do.
It's really nice getting to meet new people. For once, this gets me out of my comfort zone.
Jeff wouldn't leave the house. He would come home from school and he'd sit and he'd play video games. This was a way for him to get out and socialize with other people.
I'm actually putting it all into use to maybe do something with my life. And it shows how far I've come.
He went from the workshop to doing the work. That was a big deal for him. It was like he'd gotten promoted.
I thought of freedom. I was finally living a life that I never got to live because I'd never been on a paid job before.
Ultimately, our message has always been one of we want our folks to lead fully included lives. We want them to be a part of their community, we want them to contribute to their community, and seen as a contributor, regardless of the significance or severity of their disability.
Kids with special needs are very accepting of other people. They're just, here we are in life, give us a chance.
Getting this experience gave me all this stress, and you know what? This is what my parents have gone through. This is what anyone I've known living independently has gone through. I can finally be able to live my own and be able to work hard in order to make my independent life work.
I feel like I've grown way stronger. I've never felt so much happier in my life.
Seeing people that I've known since the first year I started, how they welcome me in open arms, it just makes me want to explore more and meet more new people and making friends like that.
Just follow the road. The blood in your veins like a track for the trains. The heart always aims for the place where you belong.
When you're out on the road of like 8 weeks and then you come home and it's like, there's a little bit of a letdown when you do, because you're going, and then, it's back to reality of having to find a job or, whatever that is. When they go back, it's going to be very different. And the cool thing about that is so many of our guys were campers, and now they're working for us at different facilities. 5 out of the 6 people in that video are now working full-time at different facilities around the country. I'm going to bring up one of the girls that from that is Kelly here. Come on up, Kelly. And I'm going to have her talk a little bit about her experience. And I found out that she didn't go to work today because she wasn't feeling well, but she didn't want to miss this. I'm not going to hug you. I don't want to get sick. Okay, so.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hyun, and I started out as a student at this program when it first opened, and since then my first real job, thanks to them, was at a TV show called The Car Czar, and I worked for Doug Browner as an editor, and I helped set up the show, and I put clips together for them. But unfortunately, the show ended, so I went back to Features Explored, and they hired me. So now I'm working full-time for them. And yeah, I love it. It's a great program. I get paid to do what I love every day. And I can say that my life changed because of them. And I just want to say thank you.
Before I let you go, wouldn't it be great if you had a job that you could go to and have your dog come to work with you?
Oh, yeah. I also get to bring my dog. He's a Chihuahua. He's about a year old. His name is Griffin, and he comes to work with me every day.
Good job, Kelly. Thank you. Opportunities. How many opportunists do we have in the audience here? You got to be an opportunity. Opportunist. You got to, whenever there's an opportunity to get work or a job, you know, on the tour today, I asked somebody for a job right away, and not for me, but for our folks. I have no problems asking for that for our folks. Part of what we do is we have a production company. And in that production company, we do things like Lights, Camera, Independence. The young man that directed it and edited it and shot it, Seth Schulman, was a former special ed teacher, has been working for us for full time for over 10 years now. And he did a really nice job with this. But what this has opened up the door to is I was asked to speak in San Diego through Liz Astro and the Lodi. What do you call yourselves, Liz? Career Connections. Okay, so they asked me to come to speak, and I get a fee to do that. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if I bring the guys from the film and speak with me and pay them and give them a chance to talk? So we did that. And the first one, it was in front of 1,000 people, and these guys did unbelievable. They just got up like Kelly did and just knocked it out of the ballpark. So from there, you know, we were asked as a group now to go to Oklahoma. We went to New Jersey. We went to Arkansas. I'm going to tell that story later, but it was opportunities. And from that, camps grew. In Lodi, we've done now how many? 3 camps, Liz? 3. You're not sure? Okay, neither am I. And we've been very, very successful with going in, but it all started from a speaking engagement. And people are seeing that given an opportunity, our folks can do a lot of good things. So backing up to Sacramento, and also, Lou, can you say hello to Lou Vismar over here? He's the reason that we're in this building. And when we first came up here, it was Senator Steinberg, and we had a screening of what was it, Through the Heart of Tango at the Crest Theater, and that kind of kicked it off here in Sacramento. We wanted to create a buzz, so we showed that. It was a great event. So what had happened was I went to a basketball game. And at that basketball game, is Marcy and Robin here too? Oh, okay. Marcy and Robin, they're PR extraordinaire. They set this whole thing up, and we're at the game, and Marcy introduced me to the head of PR, and they said, well, you know, how can we help? So I'm thinking, well, I can think of a lot of ways that you can help. And I thought, well, why don't you do this? Let our guys intern for a day. I'll follow them around, and we'll cut together a piece about our folks working with you, shadowing, and showing them how it works. And they said, yeah, that's great, let's do it. And it was like a 1-minute video at that time. And they showed it on Autism night at the game. And then I got the Pistons, the Detroit Pistons, to do the same thing. We didn't get paid for it. It wasn't, you know, but it was a great PR thing, and it was just a great visibility. So the next year, they call us, and they said, hey, we have a story about a young girl with autism from Placerville that both high school teams got together to help her score her first basket. I said, yeah, that's really cool. Would you want to do that story? I said, yeah, let's do it. So again, it's connecting dots. So there was a company called Only Good News, Hoopla, and they only do only good news stories. I told them about this story. How that came about was they wanted to do a story about inclusion films in Bakersfield, and I said, okay, how do you do that? Well, we hire a cameraman and an editor. They come, interview, we cut it together, and then we show it. I go, okay, well, that's what we do. Why don't you hire us to do it? And if you don't like it, you don't have to pay for it. And it was only like $500. We've done now 17 stories for them over the last few years. And we're like their go-to team to do this stuff. So I pitched them this, and it grew from there. Then the next year, I got 2 teams to play us $5,000 apiece. And now you're going to see that video is going to come up here now to show what it built into. It's a combination of the Sacramento and the Phoenix Suns that we did this for. Again, a gig, guys going out on the road. Go ahead. All right, guys, I think you all know what we're doing. So we're doing stories about people with autism that have a dream and a talent. Chris Ludit wants to be an announcer.
Here's the star lineups for your Phoenix Suns.
And David Schlesinger wants to play the sax. So we are traveling first to Phoenix, and then to Sacramento.
I always knew that I wanted to be a famous personality in my life.
Charles Barkley blocked Kenny Smith. There's no time remaining. The Suns will win the game 101-99.
Yeah, I started listening when I was 10, and I started playing my saxophone when I was 12.
I thought I knew what autism was about until I actually saw him work day in and day out. He proved us all wrong. He proved to us that autism doesn't have to slow you down. And in fact, we're all better for it.
There aren't a lot of exposure and awareness, especially with adults with autism. So I thought this was a really excellent project to kind of get our adults out there.
So Tom Chambers and Chris Ludit, I believe you guys are going to be on NBA TV or TNT or something.
I followed the statistics, I followed the schedules, I followed the players.
Since I'm filling in for Tom, so I'm going to do the top 5.
Nice,
Chris Chandler with an alley-oop by Devin Booker. Can we see that? Shazam! I do it! I like that, so much of it. Coming in at number 4, Tyson Chandler again! Ronnie Price! Down the hole!
If you have autism, keep your head up high, do what you do best, do what you can, and make your dreams come true. My dream did come true.
It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
This is Chris Ludit from the Phoenix Suns, signing out. Good night, everybody.
That trended with the NBA, and we got a lot of traction with it. And the next year, we did 2 more videos, and we'll probably do more this year. But what it does, it opens up the door. If I can get 2 NBA teams to pay us to do a video, why can't we get them all to do it? And the NFL. And I like to think big on this stuff, and there's no reason why we can't do that. So I'm going to bring up Noah Frank now. And Noah was a part of that road trip, and that was kind of his first job. And he'll tell you about his experience.
Thank you, Joey. My name is Noah Frank, and I have been in inclusion film in Sacramento since October 2013. And one day, my sister-in-law got me into put me in this program that helped me change my ways and help my confidence and motivation, and most importantly, to have a good, successful self-esteem and be a team player as one. One of the things I've been doing lately in the past was I've been learning camera, grip, audio. That's one of my fortes I like to do in my life. And in last year in October 2016, where I had to be going on a first away gig, was I was started in Arizona with the NBA, that Joey had got me in when I started to make new friends and the rest of them. Second of all, I had to go to Lodi, California, where I partaken in a gig when I was in a 2-week start with me and Liz and the crew, and got to know each and every one of them. That I had to learn the tricks of the trade. That I was in the 2-week pay gigs when I was involved being an intern. One day, Joey got me an offer to do partaking in a 6-week gig. I was doing being involved, starting in the first 2 weeks, start in Moraga, California, which we basically start with called the Simple Act of Kindness campaign, which we basically help everyone around the country to help change a life, like giving food and shelter at the same time. And the second 2 weeks after that first 2 weeks we started when I was doing that learning the tricks of the trade that helps me motivate, is that I got to go to New Jersey, where I was partaking in more of the tricks of the trade. I was concentrating and learning the ways of knowledge and the skills that I get myself motivated, and it helps me fill in my mind to it. And after that, then I went on my way to the final destination, where Michelle Rellies are from, known in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which was very adventurous. I got to show a good heart, and most of all, had to be getting to know each and every one of them, that I made friends with them, learn more of the tricks of the trade. I was doing my days of work from morning till afternoon, and got to keep up with doing my grip work and all the techniques. I've been very, very passionate about that. So I wanted to say thank you for every one of them, Joey and my family, and giving me more self-confidence, more self-esteem to keep me going. But for Michelle Riley, thank you for being a good role model and a very brave one to help me show concentration and more self-alliances. So do what you got to do, and thank you all.
Tricks of the trade, I love that. It sounds like a prostitute. I am so proud of you, Noah. Look at you. Look at you getting up here now. I'm going to have to take you out on the road more often. So the NBA is a big deal with what we do. It's just so great to see these guys come out and work on the road. And that's the great experience. The greatest experience is for them to go and actually apply what they learned. I have one other student here that's, I'm going to talk about the TV show. And he's a full-time editor now at Futures Explored, correct? Nearly full-time. Okay, well, let's not split hairs, okay? Why don't you come up and tell us about your experience editing, because you were involved with this too.
Hi, I'm Chica BB. I have been editing, even though I do have other hobbies and interest in the film and media industry. Apparently, editing is one of my strong suits in this case. I'm currently editing for a client The client, which happens to be an organization called Congressa Familiar, which is, anyway, the video in this case is primarily Spanish languaged. And since I have been learning Spanish from high school to college to Duolingo, I decided to edit the video and put it to good use. I'm also editing for an internship with Don Deason, and it's for AIHA, which is the American International Health Alliance. And in that internship, I'm the lead editor, actually. Thank you.
And Archie worked with us in Lodi on the Simple Acts of Kindness. I don't know if you guys have heard about the campaign that we did this summer. The theme was Simple Acts of Kindness, and all the stories had to revolve around an act of kindness as the plot point. And then we did PSAs, and we did all kinds of things like that. Then in Lodi, we ran a contest for people to submit simple acts of kindness. And one of the things that we had put together with the Good Day show is that they're airing between Thanksgiving and Christmas the 4 simple acts of kindness. They've already run 2, and they're going to run another one tomorrow. And then the 21st, they'll run the last one. But it's great exposure, and it was so cool I didn't know how the kids would react to the idea of, hey, we're going to do simple acts of kindness, but everybody jumped on board. I mean, it's a crazy world out there, and people sometimes just aren't kind. And it was great to see them come together. And it was even really cool when we did these stories that they got to go and do what they talked about. And it was a lot of fun. And we're going to continue doing that. We want to scale that up nationally next year. So it's all about creating opportunities. And the production company, first let me back up. It's very difficult to make a half-hour of programming for a network. It's not an easy thing to come up with a script and shoot it and cast it and do it. And now you got to remember, we're taking it from this, a blank page, making it into something of value. So I worked with a company called Cox Communications. They're not up here, but they're a they're like a cable, they're a cable company. And they're all over the country. San Diego is the big market. And several years back, we did a camp with Cox and Act Today for the military. And we did, it was all children of military members and their families and their kids. And it was very, very successful. And I got to meet them. And so I pitched them something. And I'm going to show you this clip, and then I'm going to talk more about it and bring Larry up too. Hi, I'm Joey Travolta, producer of the new series, Inclusion Short Films. Each episode, you're going to see a film produced and created by adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. From the pitch to the final product, you're going to see the whole process of how we make our films and what happens when someone is given an opportunity. 5 films, 5 studios. Inclusion, it's more than just a concept. Now playing on your view. Okay, so the series is exactly what each workshop, they pitch me 3 ideas, I pick one, and they go write it, they break it down, they schedule it, they build sets, they do whatever they need to do to get these films done. And between May and today, we did 10 shows we're delivering, and they're playing on a network right now. There's not a lot of film programs that have content on TV already. And we're getting numbers, we're getting ratings. that was sent to all the affiliates, and 10 stations picked it up. So it's really cool. And I'm going to have Larry, who is one of the stars of the movie out of, what was the name of the film? Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, so come on up, Larry, and talk about your experience. Come on, as an actor.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so Unreadable is a short film that we made for Cox Communications, and the story is about an FBI agent who's trying to crack a case open, but he soon discovers that a person who has the ability to read minds has the authorities to blow up a building with everyone in it. But it's my job to make sure to crack the case and see that why she's blowing up the building. But but I soon to find out that why she's doing all this, but it turns out she's being blackmailed because her sister was kidnapped. And the reason is, and he also discovers that her case is soon connected to the case that he's been working on for years. And the case that he's been working on, turns out it has something to do with his boss. The boss was the one who's been blackmailing the captured's sister. And also, we soon discovered that we brought him to justice, and we just brought him to justice. That's exactly what we did.
What did your character have that made it different?
Oh, my character is autistic, also, and because the person has the ability to read minds, she couldn't read his mind because he was autistic. So it was very difficult for her to follow through. So he ends up being friends with her at the end, because after what he discovered, and that's also about it. But
talk about your experience at the workshop and how's it helping you?
My experience at the workshop, it's very unique. It helps me a lot, and it gives me an opportunity to, put myself out there more, break down a few doors. And ever since then, I've been going out lately, trying to find other acting gigs outside the program. Because I've been getting lately I've been getting paid acting gigs outside, and also I have some experiences of acting, because I've been acting since I was 16. And what I come to find out that I consider myself intermediate, or that's the word, intermediate, right? Because I could be professional about it, but I'm still learning. I'm still at the learning process, because there's a lot for me to know. Because what I want to do is, you have to learn more, because you want to break down those doors. So badly, myself, I just want to drive a Batmobile and drive through those doors. And or a Megazord, what can you say about that one? But also, I want to make a full statement right now, because those of you guys who have loved ones who's very not sure of himself, who wants to give up on their dreams and just don't want to do it anymore. The thing is, don't let them, because it's important, because that's their dreams. They want to follow through, because me, myself, and I'll admit, I wanted to give up acting, but I couldn't give it up, even if I wanted to, because my mind keeps telling me, don't give up. And I've had friends and family who supported me, and even if they're too nervous about it, because I'll admit, when I was pitching to Joey, I was nervous. I choked up. I was disappointed about it, but the bright side is I'm kind of glad I did. I was nervous. Because why? It can show everyone that it's okay to be nervous. Like it shows you that you're not alone. Like, everyone's different. And just be who you are and accept yourself. Because me, like, I had a hard time accepting myself with a disability. Like, I had a hard time being around other people, not including myself. And because the only problem is, it wasn't the people. I didn't accept myself. So my thing is, I learned to, now that I'm grown up, I learned to accept myself, be who I am, learn who I can be, just be myself, and not give up on myself. Because everyone's different, everyone has their own opinions. Like, people are gonna talk about you nonstop, because it's life, you know, and because, you know, life is too short, you know, and you just gotta learn to fight it through and not give up on yourself. And that's what I can say.
Good job. You can go to yourview.com if you want to see the movies, because they're posted now. Once they air them, they post them, and his movie's up there. And I got to tell you, this kid's a really good actor. You know, I've done 25 films, and I'm telling you, I didn't get to have this private conversation. So let's make it public with these people. You did a really good job. I'm proud of you. Okay. I think we're getting close to, what's that? Yeah, we'll take questions. I just want to mention one other thing. We're making content. So I'm always looking for ways to create jobs. So now what we're moving towards with the success of Cox Communication is a subscription-based company for people with special needs. And we have probably 150 hours of content to start, but we're going to start developing shows at each facility that are going to contribute to this, kind of like a Netflix thing. Now, you know that you're in this field. If you knew this and most of the money was going towards employment, just by a show of hands, how many people would subscribe to something like that? Okay, Rachel, get the bucket and start collecting.
I just had a general question about screenwriting.
Yes.
Coming up with raw content, do you have any advice or tips for some?
We're coming up with raw content. What do you mean by that? Just stories?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I would get into a writing class. We have writing classes at all the programs that we do. And obviously, when you write something, register with the Writers Guild or send it to Washington. Always cover yourself like that. But get into workshops, and you know, whether it's a play or you interested in movie writing or story writing. Story writing or movie writing?
Oh, it's not for me, but I think my brother's doing story writing.
Story writing.
He's in a program in San Diego State.
Okay.
And he's kind of stuck in as far as raw content in his screenwriting.
Is he on the spectrum? Is he?
He's in the program.
He's in our program.
No, the San Diego State program.
Oh, San Diego, because we have a program down at San Diego, in San Diego. But yeah, I mean, he's on the right track if he's going to school for it.
Yeah. Any other tips as far as starting?
Yeah, just write and write and write and submit and submit and submit, and hopefully, you know, but if you're writing for theater, try to write something small. It was really, really cool. We had a screening in Bakersfield last week, and a young man from the Detroit program came to us, and the very first day at camp, he wanted to hold the camera, and we were just starting, and we let him. And he was like so enthralled with filmmaking, and he went on to go to Emerson, film school and graduated. Then when and he only took 2 years of camp, but he always remembered being able to handle that camera and the pros working with him. So he came to us and he had a script. He was trying to get a feature made, and I said, well, I can't make a feature, but if you give something to me in short form, we can do that, because that's a part of the program. So we did his movie in Bakersfield, and we showed it at the Fox Theater on the big screen. He came with his family, and again, he's from Michigan. We helped him out. He's on the autism spectrum. And I told that penny waiting for change story, and I got an email from him, and he, thanked me for not forgetting about him and all his support. And I had also talked about there's some PA positions opening up at all the studios, and if that could happen, if I could steer him in the right direction. He doesn't want to hurt our students or anything like that. And then he said, I'm one of those pennies waiting for change. He said, and I'm okay with that because it gives me room to become a dime someday. I thought that was really, really sweet.
So how can a local school district or school districts get students involved in making this kind of event or a camp happen for a local group?
Okay, so you're asking how do we get this in the school system? The program, or at least an introduction to it?
Yes.
And being we are talking about that in Lodi. One of the things, because we've done so many camps in Lodi, and the last camp we did was funded through the superintendent of schools, and it was very successful, and they want to, my big thing would be for our guys that go through the program to be able to go into the school system and teach. How cool would it be for a special ed student to go back into that high school and teach filmmaking? We've already done it. I think that would be so cool. So we are working on that, but if you have any suggestions, you know where to find me, right? I'm at 555 5555. That's a movie number. And I remember the first film I did, and I didn't know this. It was my first film, and the woman said, well, you can call me at 555 5555. Yes.
This is just wonderful work. Can you talk a bit about the impact on professionals already in the industry in terms of their appreciation, their minds being blown by the potential and the world of people with autism, where they may have been dismissive, now they're deeply interested or not?
Well, it's continuing to take advantage of these opportunities, doing the documentaries that we do, doing the NBA stories, doing promotional videos for companies. This is probably one of the coolest things, and it's going to be the model that I want to use at all the programs and all around. So in Bakersfield, the program we have there, every Christmas we do Christmas for 5 families that are having a rough time. We get them from the regional center. We throw a big party for them. It's our Christmas party. We get them a gift basket and gifts for the kids and everything. I've been doing this with my daughter Rachel since she was 12, and it's gone on to the program. So we have this Christmas party, and we have this Christmas movie. And the party's at 12 to 2 in the afternoon. A local attorney firm, law firm, hired us to do a commercial. And I said, well, wouldn't it be cool if we show that commercial on that Christmas movie and show it on TV at our party? I called up, I bought a half hour. We're going to show the Christmas movie there, okay, to show people what people can do when given an opportunity. But not only that, we bought the time. I sold the time. We're doing the commercials, we're making the content, and we're doing the distribution. It can be done. You just have to, and it's opening up those doors. And now There's going to be internships at that news station. There's all these news stations. There's so much opportunity, and especially today with, I said someone had mentioned about the YouTubers and things like that. There are so many stations, so many opportunities, and that only opens the door more for our folks. I don't know if that answered your question. Okay. Well, all right, so last 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting with Warner Brothers and HBO. They're opening up, it's a PA program, because it's difficult to get into the unions on big shows like that. You have to become a union, but there's no union for PAs. So the word is out. All these big companies are now, because I met with these companies for over the last 12 years, and it's always been the HR nightmare. Well, what if we hire them and we don't like them? Well, if you hire them and like them, then you don't use them. You know, it's not, you can't treat them different than other people. When we give you somebody, they're going to be able to do the job. Hike, that was in the video, he got on a job, an article was written in the LA Times, a producer called me, hey, I have 8 shows, I love what you're doing, I want to use your folks. You hear that all the time. But then I find out he did have 8 shows, and he made good on his word, and he hired Hike. And I sent someone with him for the first day, you know, thinking that he may need help adjusting and everything. So call time is at 7 o'clock. 6 a.m., Hike was sitting there waiting for the crew to show up. And this is a union big-time show on ABC. The guy that comes with him comes later than Hike, that was going to help him out for the day. Within a half hour, they sent the guy that was going to watch over him. He was already doing stuff with the cast and craft service and doing all that stuff. There's so many job opportunities in this. And again, a lot of our folks aren't going to work in the film business. But it's what you learn that you can apply anywhere. You need to build confidence when you go into the workplace. Yes?
I was saying
true that. True that. Yes, true that. Okay, any more questions?
I just want to make a comment. I just want to publicly thank you for all you've done for students, not only in my district, but in California. You really have made a difference. And I think your focus on employment, which is what's so important to many of us here, you focus on employment. Not only do you hire individuals, but you help us as we try to do our jobs to get other people employed. So I just want to say thank you. On behalf of really all of us in California, and for the districts who are looking to get involved, this is so positive, right? This is such a positive thing that you can bring to your districts. Our superintendent, right? Most phone calls Joey and I have, our superintendent is involved, has been involved from the top. I keep saying, you know, this is special education, right? But it's just so positive, and it brings such positiveness to our entire communities. Today I was talking with Joey, and they even said the school board would like him to come to a spotlight. Can you imagine having Joey Travolta come to your board meeting? So that's our next conquer. But I just wanted to say,
I've been barred from board meetings.
Yeah, we're going to have to edit a little bit.
No,
but
she did this to me. I dropped an F-bomb, and she had me on speaker.
I know. In front of the super. But I just want to publicly thank you. You've certainly helped our kids in Lodi Unified, but you have helped. We've done many things in California, and you've helped individuals throughout California. So I just want to thank you for your dedication.
Thank you. Thank you. Speaking of California, where's Caroline? Where's Caroline? From Pittsburgh. You want to say a few words about the camp in Pittsburgh?
Let me get over to you, Caroline. Hold on.
We do a camp in Pittsburgh. This is going to be the 8th year that we're doing it. We have such a great time there.
Use your mom voice. My mom voice. Actually, I would really just like to echo your sentiments that having Joey come and do the camp in Pittsburgh has built a community to such an extent that in January 13th, actually, we'll have the big red carpet premiere from the camp from this past summer. There will be 500 people at that event. And it's because of the community that Joey fostered and continues to foster here in California. So, yeah.
So I paid Liz to say those things, so your $100 bill is up here. Thank you.
Just one last question about screenwriting.
Okay.
Do you have any unique routines that you have as far as if an idea pops up in your head, you just write it down right away?
Oh, I write it down. Now I have the other night I didn't sleep at all. And I do it on my phone now. I type it into the notepad. But you should always have a pad and a paper by the side of your bed.
Okay. I'm aware of singers doing the same thing, so I was wondering.
Yeah, no, that's good. Because I'm quite a technical person myself.
Okay.
I have a fax.
Is there opportunity for people who are not in the regional program? It seems to me that there are, some of my clients are in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah, we have clients and yeah.
Okay. So we would still go through the charming lady in the front. Okay. All right, thanks.
Joey, thank you, really. We experienced your camp with Cox Communication in San Diego 2014 or 15, if I'm not mistaken. And we're still talking about it. There was a great opportunity seeing an artistic kid waking up every morning excited to go to do something, and he felt valuable. And, with all the kids, and we had so much fun. I even remember the homeless that took you money when we did the premiere in downtown San Diego at the Regal Cinemas.
Yeah, we did it at the film festival. San Diego Film
right,
Festival.
right.
We had the biggest crowd of all the films that were playing there.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and we had so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
So I understand how their skills can then be put to any other industry, but I'm wondering if you and other people from other industries have communication networks so that kids who do learn those skills but aren't interested in film have some sort of a network set up that, like, somebody who's in robotics or, whatever, some other.
Yeah, we're starting to do that. We should do more of it. As again, I'm technically challenged, so I need people to do that for me. But no, we're getting the word out. Yeah, but that's a good idea. Thank you.
I have a question as an artist wanting to produce either theater or film that is including storylines having to do with people I don't have the same experience as. Is there a way to use your students and early in the process before there's funding? I mean, interns, just interviews.
Absolutely, yeah.
Exactly.
Because that's my man right there.
See, that's
he goes
the hard
for the
thing
job.
is
Yeah.
when you don't
Promote
have
yourself.
funding and you're starting. Oh, great. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, Amanda. Amanda, you want to talk about your experience?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Go ahead. Give her the mic right there. Yeah, she's one of the first students in Sacramento. Go ahead. I didn't realize you were here. I would have called you up. Sorry.
It's okay, Joe.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Hussa. I'm one of the students at Inclusion Films. I started when I was 24. It was 2014. I have been mostly into acting and designing. I also have done special effects makeup. When I first started special effects makeup, I was squeamish around blood, fake blood. But now that I've overcome that fear, and it really opened up a whole new world for me. And I'm a lot more social. I used to be really shy. I didn't know the ropes about film, but now I've really learned all the different aspects.
You learned all the tricks of the trade, right?
Yes, all the tricks and the trades. Yes, and I also have done camera work, and I've also gotten to do some paid work. Yeah, and mostly I usually am good at talking because I've been a speaker here, Yeah, and I also have done a lot of improv, and I also love to do other things too. I like to have my friends around. Yeah. Yeah, one of the very special films that I did was called Loose Lips. Larry was in that. And I was the undercover cop, and I busted him. Yeah, that's why I say girl power, girls rule. Thank you. This has been a real life-changing experience. Bless you.
I also edited Loose Lips, actually.
Okay.
This morning, I rescued a puppy.
Yeah. Yes, Lou.
Again, Joey, it's just such a blessing, all that you're doing, and amazing work over the years. One of the comments from the artists and from other creative folks, I would urge you to check out a website called Sacramento Metropolitan Arts Commission, or SMAC, because it is a part of the city that has funding. It's very integrated with the work that Mayor Steinberg is doing with the cultural plan and linking creative to technology in the economy. And so again, and I'll talk to you in more detail about possible opportunities, but it is a funding source. And recently, Daryl, Mayor Steinberg just allocated $500,000 to be given in grants for creative enterprises. And again, a lot of the efforts and a lot of the creativity that is in this room, I think, would be a wonderful, wonderful nexus. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to tell one little quick story before we leave about Lou and what a great man he is. So it was a few years back, and my wife gave me the mortgage money to go put in the bank, and I'm reading the newspaper, and I see in the newspaper a horse named Lucky Joey, and I'm going, do I put the mortgage money on Lucky Joey? Do I go pay the mortgage? And you know, I was like so confused at that time. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna take a shot. I'm gonna go bet on Lucky Joey. So I pull into the racetrack, and the race is gonna go off in about 3 minutes, okay? And I see the closest space is a handicap parking. And I was like, well, you know, I do a lot for people with maybe just this once I can park in handicap parking. So I parked in handicap parking. And I'm sorry, God, sorry. So I go into the racetrack, and I almost get shut out. And I'm there, and here goes the race, and let it go, and it's top on George, so the only one up on the outside is Lucky Joey coming down the street. Lucky Joey, and they were head, and he gets beat by a head. And I lose all the mortgage money. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I gonna tell my wife? So I go out, and I had $1 left, and I put it in the soda machine. And it ate my $1. And I'm going, this is like really, really bad. And as I'm turning, I'm seeing them tow my car out of the parking lot. And I'm going, oh man, how much worse can it get? So I said, well, I guess I'll just have to walk home. So I start walking, and it starts raining. And raining, and raining. And then the sole from my shoe comes apart. So I'm raining and kicking and slopping, and rain's coming up, and it's just, this is like the worst thing, and I'm getting cold and everything. And then all of a sudden, the sun comes out. It stops raining. And up from the hill comes this gold Cadillac with a sunroof top. And who pulls up? Lou Vismaro. And I said, Lou. He says, what's the matter with you? He goes, you look like hell. He goes, I feel like hell, believe me. I said, you know, this is what I found this horse. I bet my mortgage money. He's like, well, you shouldn't have done that. And I go, and I parked in handicap park. What's the matter with you? You know, you shouldn't have done that either. And then I bet the horse race and I lost my last dollar. And, he's telling me, he's being supportive, but he was just saying the truth. What are you doing here? And I said, and then my shoe, the sole came from my shoe apart, and I've been walking and flapping up. And he looked at me, and he went into his pocket, and he pulled out a wad of $100 bills with a big gold rubber band around it. And he looked at me, and he looked at my shoe. He looked at me, looked at his shoe. And he took that band off and said, here, put this around the shoe, it'll help. And he took off. Now, I didn't ask him for anything. He saw how he could help. And then I just started walking, and it started raining, and then I saw a penny.
The UC Davis Mind Institute was created in 1998 with a promise to find cures for neurodevelopmental disorders. Every day, our physicians and researchers come closer to fulfilling that promise. Their groundbreaking research on autism, Fragile X syndrome, chromosome 22q11.2 deletion syndrome, ADHD, and other brain disorders are helping children achieve their fullest potential. Please visit our website to find out more about current studies, upcoming events, and how you can help make a difference.